2020 could prove to be one of the best years to upgrade to a new system for many years on release of the RTX series of graphics card and the Ryzen 5000 CPUs. Right now, the best processor for productivity is the 5900X at $549 or about £515. Whilst for gaming it has to be the 5600X. You realize this when you look at the various benchmarks in games, Cinebench scores and whatever. If you're going to get a productivity processor, it's the 12-core 5900X, which delivers a Cinebench score of 8178. That with adequate cooling can be overclocked by at least 8%. Running at 4.7 gigahertz, you will get a Cinebench score probably around 9,000. So you're encroaching onto the 5950X at 10,380 out of the box. So in this video we're going to configure a system for the 5900X and then compare the prices between two system builders in the UK, that's scan.co.uk and overclockers.co.uk. See what the difference is in price for the exact same build, or as close as possible as we can get it. So let's get the ball rolling with our build for a 5900X RTX 3080 system with at least 32 gigabytes of RAM. So here's the Scan Computers website. First thing is to choose a case, and the case we're going to go for primarily has got to be able to take a 360mm rad so that we can cool it. And from experience, the Corsair, here we go, Obsidian 500D, which should be on the overclockers site as well, which we'll look at in a moment. Well, I'll configure the exact same spec and then we'll go through it. Here, specifications for this case. Yeah, you can take up to 360mm rad, and it comes with two fans, and it's got drive bays for, it's got 4 fan bays, but obviously the rad's going to take some of those. Got 3 2.25 and 2 3.5, 3 2.5 and 2 3.5. That's enough storage space for drives. You can add them, probably stuff in another drive somewhere else in the case, in the expansion areas where it's got. So this is the case we're selecting, the Obsidian 500D. It looks good and it's a fair price, so we'll select that, get the ball rolling. Interested in RGB. Right, next, motherboard. We're going to have to get a 570 Strix Asus. This one, no, that's B550, so that we can fine tune the various settings to maximize performance. So what we're going to have to pay for it, here we go, Asus ROG Strix X570F Gaming, £250, and that's our motherboard. And we're now up to £900 on the Scan config. CPU, obviously that's going to be the 5900X. Yes, that is the best value for money processor, 12 cores, 900X, £510, whilst the 5950X is nearly £250 more for 4 extra cores. But the 5900X 12 core, that's more than enough processing power for vast majority of productivity work. And yeah, you could go, if money's no option, you could pay the extra $250, but you're probably wasting your money, especially as you can overclock the 5900X, which I'll show you in a minute. Basically get an improvement of 8% over out of the box. CP coolers, this is the main thing. To overclock you need adequate cooling, so we're gonna have to get a 360mm rad. Yeah, the Hydro, the top one listed on the scan site. And before you ask, I've already been through the overclockers site, and that's why I know what items they've got, and they do have these items that I'm selecting, like the Corsair Hydro H150i rad 360mm, and the case, they got the case as well that comes with 2 fans. We can always add extra fans once we got the machine and check the temperatures and create vent holes for the hot air to suck it out. Memory, now here's we got a slight problem here, and that is that overclockers only allows you to select 2 sticks, so 32 gig RAM, whereas the 5900, the 5000 series apparently works better with 4 sticks rather than 2. Small performance difference of around 4%. But for this experiment, for this exercise, we're going to just select 3200 megahertz, and we can always add 2 extra once we got the system from scan or overclockers. Once we see the difference in price, now we're up to £1,600. We've got our 2 sticks, whilst if you select 4, it jumps to 243. But they've got a faster memory. Trouble is, overclockers do not have faster memory than 3200 megahertz. Yeah, they're gonna have to pay 3600. 16 is 136, whereas 32 is 124. So it's expensive. And 64 gig will be 576 at 36. So best stick to 32 megahertz memory, like so, because it is double the cost. Those 4 extra megahertz on the memory speed is going to cost you too much. So we'll stick to 32 gigahertz. We don't want RGB. It's just a pointless. You're just adding heat to the system for no reason. So we go with DDR4 3200 megahertz, 32 gigabytes. So we match overclocker system, and we'll see the price of that after I finish configuring this, so we can compare them. So that's the memory. What about the graphics? Well, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be the RTX 3080 Asus. That's the best one. Obviously the 3090 is not value for money, twice the price. So we're getting the Asus graphics card, and the price jumps now, 2300, but we're coming close to the end. Power supply, look at that, 550 watt. That's not going to power the system. 3080 and a 5900X overclocked. Now we need 1000. Here we go. Corsair RM1000X. That should do it. So that's our power supply as well. Let's close all these tabs, otherwise they're going to be sticking out. So what's next? This will be the hard drive for the operating system. M2 drive. We get a Samsung 1TB Samsung 3300 megabits per second. Evo Plus 970. Standard, reliable Samsung drive. And I won't select any storage drives because there's too much variation and not much choice. Look, Barracuda, if I'm going to get an internal drive, it's going to be it's going to be a Western Digital black or blue. I think that's about everything. Oh yes, the operating system, expensive, £135 for a Windows Pro. I mean, you can get a license off eBay for what, £15–20. Well, we'll select it because for them to do all the testing, they need an operating system. Remember, we're getting a ready built system by Scan Computers. Like 2654, have you finished? Let's go back and check everything. Yeah, Corsair case, Logstrix X570 gaming. Yeah, 570 motherboard, 3900X, 360mm Corsair RAD, 32GB RAM. Obviously, I would go for 64GB for productivity system. You got a RTX 3080 by Asus, 1000-watt power supply, Samsung Evo M2, and the operating system. And the price comes to $26.54. So, what do you think the price is for the same system from overclockers? More or less, you would imagine it would be less, but actually it is more. £2,816 versus $26.55, so that's about £160 more. And we'll go through it to show you that it is the same system. Here's the spec. You've got the case, the Corsair Obsidian 500D. We'll go through each Corsair case. Here's the case. Why is it not showing the case? Did it select it? There we go. Corsair Obsidian 500D case selected. For some reason it's not showing the image here. Yeah, there it is. So we've got the case there, the Corsair Obsidian 500D. And on scan we got the Corsair Obsidian 500D, motherboard, Asus ROG F Gaming, Asus ROG F Gaming X570, same, so the same motherboard. Cooling, H150i, cooling, H150i, obviously the same processor, 5900X, memory, generic 32GB memory, 32GB, 32 megahertz. It's the cheapest. Let's make sure we got the cheapest selected. 16, yeah, 32 is this one here. Cables, oh, that's 3000. So this is the cheapest memory, 32 megahertz. In fact, that's the problem with overclockers. Look, they stop at 32 gigabytes. 32, there's not much choice. Don't give you much choice in terms of memory. That's what I don't like about overclockers UK website. And certain components they give less choice. Okay, graphics card is the RTX 3080 by Asus, same here. Asus RTX 3080, so exactly the same specs. What about the drive? Samsung Evo 970, Samsung Evo 970, same, 1TB. Next we come to the power supply, Corsair RMX 1000. Power supply is Corsair RM 1000X, same power supply. Just make sure, look, exactly the same. And the last thing will be Windows, Microsoft Windows Professional. They charge you £148 for it. What else? Overclock scan charge you £135, so that's where you get some of the saving. So there you have it. You've got the overclockers.co.uk, same system build, same, everything's exactly the same. Well, let's see if we take off this RGB strip if we save any money. No, that's that default, so it's not something you can remove, or can you? I don't think it'll make any difference to not wanted. Oh yeah, okay, we'll take that off. I didn't see that. Not wanted, so that reduces the price by £14. So that's the final price for the Overclockers UK is £2,803. So that makes it £148 more than the same system by Scan for less choice, but it's the exact same build. So there you have it, Scan versus Overclockers, price difference for the exact same build. You can go through the specs here and see if I've missed anything, like I nearly missed the not wanted tab for the RGB. I'll make everything small. So that's the spec for Overclockers for a good productivity system. You know, good for using the best processor right now for productivity is a 5900X and for gaming. So this is a good spec. Now the change I would make is I would have more memory, and that's the problem. Another problem, other than it costs more with overclockers, is that the limit, I don't know, for maybe they're thinking something will get in the way in the memory slots, so it makes it easier for them to build a system with 2 memory sticks rather than 4. Whereas you do take a performance hit with the 5000 series if you just put 2 sticks in rather than 4. So obviously if I was going to buy a system now, 5900X, in fact I am going to buy a 5000 series system, I would go with 32 gig RAM. I'm not too bothered about RGB and all that nonsense. So I would increase. Yeah, it's not really worth going for 3600 megahertz for a few extra % performance. But what you do need is 4 sticks. So that's the system I would get if I was getting a 5900X. And what if I wanted to waste some money, get 16 cores? What would be the price of the system? See, at the moment I'm contemplating getting a 5900X or a 5950X. I know that the 5950X is not good value for money when compared to the 5900X. Look at that, it's £3,000 now. It's gone over 3,000. Whereas for the 5900X it's well below 3,000. And like I say, you can overclock the 5900X with a good cooler. 360mm rad should be enough. If it's not, you can throw in some extra fans in to direct the flow of air out of the system, suck it out, pull it in and suck it out. So you can always put some extra fans in. £2,700 for 64 gigabyte RAM. Obviously in this exercise Scan Computers wins in the config, and the config for a 5900X. It probably will win with if you configure the 5600X with less specs, you know, cheaper motherboard, which I'll do in a separate exercise. But for a top end system, £2,700 for a 60GB system compared to overclockers, which would be £160 more. You know, it costs £2,800 for a 32GB system. So you get an extra 32GB of RAM free if you buy one from Scan. And for some reason they don't allow you to configure more than 32GB of RAM, which I don't understand. Well, I'm assuming it's easier to build a system because you know, coolers can get in the way, but obviously this is a RAD, so there shouldn't be any issue with that. And like I say, the advantage of the 5900X or the 5950X is that you can overclock it. It's got 6 active cores per CCX, whereas the 5950X has 8. What that means, the 5900X should be easier to overclock, i.e. on Cinebench of 8178 out of the box, you should be able to push it to 4.7 GHz and get 9000 on Cinebench, which is only about 1400 away from a processor that costs over £250 more, or about £250 more. It's something to contemplate, and if I added this to my basket and check out, we can get it delivered. Save and okay, there we go. That's from before. Anyway, do subscribe for the next video where we do a similar exercise comparing an 5600X system between Scan and Overclockers UK. We'll see what specs to keep the system to under £1,200. It should be achievable for a gaming system. Obviously, I don't think we're going to be able to get a RTX 3080 or 3070 even, or even and the 3060 is not out yet. Let's have a quick look what GPUs Scan have under Nvidia. Might have to go for AMD. No, look, £515 for 3070. That's not going to work. Neither they're too expensive. Might have to be a 1660 Super or 2060 RTX 2060. It's too much of a bump for an RTX until the 3060. Even when the 3060s come out, they're going to be too much. That's the problem with the UK. We get a bit ripped off. Look at that, £750. It's 690. Was it about $699 US? That should be £525, not $750. We get ripped off in the UK in terms of currency conversions. They don't convert it straight over. Pounds, dollars treated as 1 for 1. So do subscribe for the next video. We'll try and do our best to get the best system for the lowest price, best gaming system for the lowest price based on the 5600X, because right now the only two processors worth contemplating are the 5600X for gaming and value for money, and the 5900X for productivity and gaming and value for money, whilst the others are not really value for money. 5800X, I know why they priced them that way actually. The reason why the 5800X at $450 is not value for money and the 5950X at $799 is not value for money priced wise is because they are 8-core CCXs. That means there's a higher defect rate. You know, they get a lower yield. They got more 6-core CCXs working and 2 defective than 8-core all working. So that's why AMD are pushing people towards buying the 5600X, for gaming and the 5900X for productivity, because they're both 6-core CCXs with two bad cores disabled, because the yield for the 8-core CCXs is low, and that's why they are the best value for money. Well, the 5950X is not, because they're not be able to produce many 8-core CCXs chips. That's the problem. Hence 5900X, 2 6-cores CCXs, 5600X, 1 6-core CCXs. They're both actually 8-core, but 2 are disabled. The 2 bad ones are disabled because they've yielded errors during the manufacturing process, so there are fewer 8-core CCXs for the 5950X and the 5800X, unless they put 2 4-core CCXs on the 5800X. Maybe they do that, mixing. Probably not, probably all 8-core, but you never know. Or they might reserve them for the 4-core, yeah, when they bring out the 5300X. That should be coming out in a few months' time. It was probably a 4-core. Anyway, that's enough for this video. Subscribe for our next video.